Welcome to Fuel Cell India's first video interview. Today we are speaking with Mr. Neelkant Marathe, the Director of the Automotive Research Association of India, ARAI for short. ARAI is India's premier automotive research organization and operates under the Ministry of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises of the Government of India. ARAI is one of the prime automotive testing and certification agencies of the government. ARAI has been playing a crucial and instrumental role in assuring safe, less polluting, more efficient, and reliable vehicles reach Indian markets. ARAI was instrumental in developing the standards for fuel cell electric vehicles in India through the Automotive Industry Standards, which was adopted by the Government of India this year. ARAI is also at the forefront of development of hydrogen-based mobility in India and is a partner of various government organizations engaged in the development of hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. It is therefore my privilege and honor to be speaking with Mr. Neelkant Marathe, the Director of ARAI.
Yes.
I was saying, sir, thank you so much for taking out the time and speaking with us on this. We are a very small magazine, we've just started, and considering that even this industry has also just recently started in terms of the global exposure to hydrogen. So we're trying our best, sir.
Yeah. Everything when it starts, it's always small, and then it grows as big as an elephant. Good wishes.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
It's an evolving subject. Many things are not clear. Many things are being guessed. Many things are being considered that it will happen. Time will say. Time will show. We
Correct,
have good
sir.
dreams, good intention of everything, but ultimately, a lot of support is required from different corners.
Absolutely.
And depending upon all those things to happen together,
Absolutely, sir.
and we will be able to see the light. It's a very long time span, globally also, not only for India. Very
Correct.
Many of us, including me, may not exist by the time this subject will be at its highest point.
Not at all, sir. Not at all. I'm sure that you'll be seeing it before 2030 itself, something happening in this area.
Hope so. Hope so.
Right, sir. So basically what happens is that, all the information that is available for this field, the field of hydrogen energy, the field of fuel cell, it is very highly technical. And it is only for those who have actually studied this field to understand the material that is available. Okay. So I wanted to start something which was easy for the common man, because eventually everything is about the people. If the people are there supporting a particular cause, you find that cause taking shape, you find that cause developing. So that is something that I'm trying. So with your permission, sir, I would like to start this interview.
I'm at your disposal, and I'll try to do my best. But sure. All these topics are quite new.
Yes, sir, absolutely. That's
for
why.
the topic, and for the topic also, I'm new.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It is a great privilege to speak with you, sir, on the topic of the future of hydrogen and fuel cell mobility in India. And I would like to thank you for sparing your valuable time and giving us this interview.
I'm also equally pleased to have this meeting with you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ashwin.
So I would like to just say a short thing about who we are. We are Fuel Cell India, and we are India's first magazine dedicated to the hydrogen energy ecosystem. Till date, we have issued about 14 editions of our e-magazine, but because of the pandemic, they are only available online. We are a weekly magazine. We are not a very robust magazine, I would say. We only comprise of 4 pages to 6 pages at times. Due to the pandemic, we're keeping it very small and short and sweet, I would like to say.
My immediate response to this, if you allow me.
Sure, absolutely, sir. Absolutely, sir.
Number of pages 1, 2, 3, 4, 15, 20, 34 doesn't matter. What is more important, which you are doing, is the content of it. I think even if 4 pages do carry good content and give some message and direction to those who are practicing, I think 4 pages are also enough, 1 page is also enough.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My first question would be, sir, ARAI is India's leading automotive R&D organization.
Yeah.
Could you tell us something about the new kind of research that is happening at ARAI in the field of hydrogen fuel cells?
Sure. First of all, I think I'm sure that you know what is ARAI. So ARAI is an autonomous R&D testing and certification institute. It's an autonomous body registered under Society Act, and it is affiliated to Ministry of Heavy Industry, PHI.
Right, sir.
But for all our practical purposes, we are independent and we can take all kinds of decisions in terms of our development work. ARAI has been mostly working in the area of automotives, right from R&D to testing and certification, as just told you. Powertrain, noise and vibration, materials, structural dynamics, vehicle engineering. These are some of the areas where we have been doing a lot of projects for the customers, both domestic and also for overseas side. Lately, when we understood that the transformation is happening in the mobility from the conventional IC engines to some other type, we also moved ourselves. We developed our own technology roadmap in India, and we gathered what ARAI should be doing in next 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years. As a pathway to that, we found the areas for our further activities. We found transmission is one thing, because most of the time transmission was not focused as a development in India. We have been normally taking the transmission from offline. Only we were doing the engine development, transmission, take it from offline, connect it together and power the wheels. But if the tuning is not properly done, then you will not get the benefit finally. So now people have realized that transmission development is required, because different kinds of transmissions are being worked out, like from manual transmission to automated manual transmission, automatic transmission, then it went to CVT, then DCT, and many, many such things. And now even for off-road application, we are talking about hydrostatic transmission. So this is one area we picked up. Another area we picked up is alternate fuels. And I think ARAI is very well known in the area of alternate fuels.
Absolutely.
Way back in 20 years, when first attempt was made in India, in the city of New Delhi, capital, to run all the transport buses, urban transport buses, on alternate fuel like CNG. I'm very proud to say that ARAI was very actively involved in that activity, and we were not only in the development of engines with the OEMs, we were also equally and deeply involved in developing the standards, developing the regulations, developing the safety procedures, because this is equally important from the point of view. And then we worked with OEMs to convert engines, because they were all diesel engines, to convert diesel engines to CNG engines. They were very widely accepted. And I think Delhi is the only city in the world probably running with 100% CNG fleet as urban transportation. And we are proud of to be a contributor partner in that activity. And as a part of recognition of this kind of work by ARAI to Delhi CNG urban transportation system, SAE USA, they recognized ARAI. And we got a very good shield sort of certificate from it. And when we were working in alternate fuels, it was CNG, it was LPG to begin with. Then a lot of discussions started about hydrogen as the main theme of the topic. It is about 9 or 10 years old, hydrogen. But that time, hydrogen, people were very much afraid of hydrogen itself, because even people had not come out of CNG, considering this as a bomb, because many accidents used to happen, explosions and all that. And hydrogen is much more than that. It is invisible gas, and it has got its own name, hydrogen bomb. Then what was happening in the world, before we want to take hydrogen as the monofuel, if something can be done to learn it, understand it, learning in the terms of handling it, getting used to it, the blended fuel was the concept, blended fuel. So therefore, as it was happening around in the world, we also jumped into that, and we worked on blended fuel of hydrogen and CNG. I do not know whether you have this question in later part,
Yes,
or I can answer now, or I should reserve
you
it
can
for the.
answer now, sir. Not a problem. We were
We
about
worked
to
on,
ask you also about
yeah,
HC
you can,
in the
yeah,
Supreme
you
Court.
can then pick up the right answer for the right.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
We worked on different platforms of hydrogen CNG, and we developed this fuel as a pre-blended fuel.
Right.
There were no two different fuels. It was a pre-blended hydrogen CNG. We went to some companies like Inox or some places near Panvel, Mumbai, where they helped us in pre-blending of in different um, proportions. So we started with 5%, 10%, 15%, 18%, 20%, 25%, 30% hydrogen in CNG. There are some benefits of this mixture, that is blended, pre-blended fuel over CNG. And we took some of the advantages of that particular thing. And we developed two engines, a four-cylinder engine and a six-cylinder engine, converted those diesel engines, four-cylinder and six-cylinder, into hydrogen CNG. We could not use the word HCNG because it was a patented word by someone with some typical proportion. So we called it hydrogen CNG. What we um, observed commonly between these two development were that there was a good reduction in carbon monoxide and hydrocarbon reduction of the order of 20 to 30% over CNG counterpart. Not from diesel, because diesel to CNG there has been already benefit.
Correct.
But when I'm comparing between CNG and hydrogen CNG with different proportions, we found 20 to 30% reduction in CO and HC further. And we found some increase in NOx, because hydrogen is a fast burning fuel. It combustion with high temperature. So
Yes.
there used to be more oxygen coming out from oxides of NOx, but it was manageable by some other means. But there was some improvement in the fuel economy also compared to CNG. We got around 5 to 8% improvement in the fuel economy. In all, when we found blending of hydrogen into CNG is giving advantage in terms of some emission reduction and acceptable increase in NOx, which is manageable also, and improvement in the fuel economy. And parallelly, IOCL was also working that time on 5% hydrogen CNG. They developed some station also where hydrogen CNG blend fuel can be made.
In
But since
Faridabad.
it was far from Pune, Faridabad was not nearby, the transportation of that fuel to Pune was not possible because of various restrictions. So we were doing that work near Mumbai, near Panvel area, Roha Panvel area. And then we found ultimately, when we did so many combinations of proportions of hydrogen and CNG, ultimately we found that 18% of hydrogen proportion with CNG is a good solution from various point of view. At the same time, this is a story of about 9 or 10 years old, when only steel cylinders were available for CNG. Only steel cylinders. Now we are talking about composites and all, type 4 and all that.
Correct.
But those days only steel cylinder was available, and that was only, and that type of cylinder was only permitted by PESO. Now, whenever you put hydrogen into it, there is a permeability problem of, because then hydrogen gets pierced into the steel material, and with that the steel will get weak, brittle,
Right.
and then there will be explosion possible. So we did parallelly material compatibility of the existing steel material of those days, and then performance and material compatibility both we studied together, and we found that 18% is the solution where it is good for performance, also overall performance, and it is also accepted by those steel cylinders which were available at that time. So this was a combined study, and then we also were working closely with IOCL that time, and this is how we started giving our reports, and based on those reports, 18% proportion of CNG, of hydrogen in the CNG was accepted by the government of India, and MORTH then prepared the notification allowing 18% hydrogen in CNG as the auto fuel. This is as far as HNG is concerned.
Yes.
Parallelly, we were also trying to find out what are the other liquid fuels which can work as an alternate fuel. Then we did some work on ethanol. We are also doing some work on methanol, M15 type of thing. Ethanol 10 we did, ethanol 10. Now we are probably in the process of doing some work on E20 in coming future. Then we also worked on biogas development and biogas engine development. So these are some of the activities on alternate fuels. Then there was a case when people were trying to go from high carbon fuel, that is gasoline and diesel, to low carbon fuel like methane, LPG propane and all those things where carbon element is less, to no carbon fuel. That is no carbon means carbonless, that is hydrogen.
Hydrogen, correct.
And the last part is no fuel.
I believe
No fuel is electricity.
it should stop at hydrogen. Yes.
So high carbon to low carbon to no carbon to no fuel. So this is the journey that is happening. Out of that, no carbon fuel is quite complex and still it is going to take some time as it is pure hydrogen. But no fuel is being tried out now, electric vehicles. The AR has started working in electric vehicle transportation also. We did develop some internal project of converting some small commercial vehicles, two-wheelers, three-wheelers into electric operation, and that work is going on. In the meantime, as a transit, there was a tempo to go for hybridization.
Okay.
In internal combustion engine with electric motor. So we worked on some hybrid project also, but somehow because of some reason which we should not discuss here, that particular hybridization program is still not taking
Sir, considering that an electric vehicle also uses electric motor and a fuel cell electric vehicle also uses electric motor.
Yes, yes.
What kind of difference would you say in terms of India's market, that where you would find is battery electric vehicle would be more suitable or a fuel cell electric vehicle would be more suitable?
It is my personal answer. Now, if we talk about the battery electric motor, the battery electric vehicle, the BEV, what is that? The main drive system is motor, traction motor, what we call it, which gives power to wheel. And how motor is run? It gets electricity power from battery. That means if battery is charged, then it gives electricity to motor, and then it runs the motor, and then motor runs the wheel. Then battery gets discharged often. It's a characteristic of the battery. More we use it, it gets discharged. Like our mobile or anything that we use, any battery.
Absolutely.
After one day, you will find cell is discharged. Even in our TV, in our remote, everywhere, you have to replace it. So now any battery has got the characteristic of getting discharged as it is used. Therefore, it needs charging, continuous charging. Then only it will be available for further operation. Therefore, charging infrastructure is required for battery operations. So whenever there is a battery electric vehicle, BEV, it is a pure battery. It is available, only source for running the motor needs a charging as it gets discharged. But when you do continuous charging and discharging at a particular scale or magnitude, it hampers its life because it gets heated. It hampers its life plus the durability and many reasons out of it. Motor is there. And when you talk to me about the fuel cell, the fuel cell is also a sort of battery. Because what we are doing in fuel cell, we use hydrogen or any such fossil fuel as the input fuel. For example, take hydrogen. We take water, for example. We do electrolysis of the water, generate hydrogen out of it. That hydrogen is fed to the fuel cell at one corner. Other corner, we get the air. What is there in air? There is oxygen. So that oxygen works as an oxidant, because any combustion or any chemical reaction, if you want, oxygen is required or oxidant is required. Hydrogen and oxygen put together, the water is split into hydrogen already. When this oxygen comes, it creates the electric charge, and that electric charge has got now capability to run through system. it can either go to motor directly to run the motor as the battery was running,
Right.
or it can also go to battery to charge the battery. When it is a fuel cell, it was two jobs. It charges the battery online, on board charging we call it, and whenever battery is completely charged, then fuel cell will directly run the motor. Or whenever you are in transient conditions or in acceleration mode, unfortunately fuel cell is not good for acceleration. It's characteristic. It cannot generate sudden currents. So that time we have to draw current from the battery to meet those purposes. And whenever you are cruising or you are in other modes of operation, battery will be charged by the fuel cell and fuel cell will run the motor. So that way what happens, sir, the battery once, because it is on-board charging, its dependency on charging infrastructure is reduced now. It need not go to some station and get it charged, because online it is getting charged by the fuel cell. Plus, there is no continuous charging, discharging like we do normally. So therefore, its life is also extended. So it is normally seen a typical battery, lithium ion battery, which is mostly used for the motor application. Its life is 4 years, 4.5 years. And with this fuel cell operation, it is gauged. And there are some examples and good demonstration vehicles also, where fuel cell hybrid battery electric vehicle has extended the life of the battery by more than 1.5 years. Plus onboard charging. So long as the concept of the fuel cell vehicle is that so long as there is a fuel in the tank, it can be any fuel like hydrogen or other fuel, so long as fuel is in the tank, vehicle will run, because that fuel will convert, fuel makes electricity, and that is available for both of the two. The different types of fuel cells are available. PEM type of fuel cell and SOFC type of fuel cell. PEM fuel cell requires 99.99999, 5 times 9. So much of pure hydrogen, otherwise they're poisoning, because those type of fuel cells use very noble material like platinum for catalytic conversion, and that is very poisonous if hydrogen is not pure. And therefore the cost of infrastructure of hydrogen, developing that much of purity of hydrogen is very, very, very high. There are some solid oxide based fuel cell, SOFC we call it. It is not as easily handleable as the PEM is, but a lot of work is going on SOFC. And one of the major advantage of SOFC is that it doesn't require pure hydrogen. Even if hydrogen has got impurity, it works, because those impure gases are also taken as a fuel for SOFC. For example, if there is carbon monoxide, which is a part of the hydrogen because of impurity, so this SOFC fuel cell takes input as hydrogen and CO and then develop the current out of it. And second good thing is that hydrogen need not be always taken by the electrolysis of water. We can use some fossil fuels. We can use methanol, we can use ethanol, we can use methane, CH4, we can use LPG. And those fuels are passed through reformers, and those fuels are converted into hydrogen, and that hydrogen is fed to SOFC fuel cell. So these are some of the advantages of SOFC versus PEMS, but there are some disadvantages, and we are working on it. Even AR is also working on PEM fuel cell and also working on SOFC fuel cell.
So
this has,
I would like
here, just for your information,
right, sir.
the concept is same. There will be a motor, there will be a battery, but fuel cell will be additionally added. It will give charge to battery, it will give charge to motor. Only thing, probably, there is a probability. For the same vehicle type and power requirement, there is a possibility, if it is a fuel cell battery vehicle hybrid, that battery can be made smaller relatively, because a portion of the current is coming from fuel cell directly to motor. So we need not make a very big battery, and since there is a reduced battery size, to reduce the cost, reduce space, reduce weight, some advantages.
Absolutely. That is one of the reduction of the size of the batteries is currently something that even the battery electric vehicle manufacturers are working on. I wanted to ask, lithium.
You have not completed your question, I think. Then you asked me which type of vehicle it will work. So my answer is like this: since battery is a heavier part in the whole system, for smaller vehicles you can manage the weight. or you can do a quicker replacement and all that. But when it comes to larger vehicle like larger heavy duty trucks or
etc.
buses going from one city to other city, long distances, more than 800 kilometers, that time one charge you will not be able to reach. In that case, either you have to go for a bigger battery, more heavier in terms of it, or you have to have a charging infrastructure in between and wait for that 2 hours,
Correct.
3 hours or so, which is not possible. It will not be an economical solution. Therefore, in my opinion, as it is happening in global scenario also, in India also, smaller vehicles, um, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, or small passenger cars, taxi operations will be very much suitable as far as a battery operated electric vehicle is concerned, or even the city buses, which is running 250 to 300 kilometers in a day. They can operate on electric, battery electric transportation. But mofassil transport buses, heavy duty vehicles, commercial vehicles, which runs quite good distance and they cannot wait for often charging and all that, they will have to depend on fuel cell operated battery electric system. Then only electric vehicle will be able to penetrate in heavy duty segment. This is my perception.
I actually wanted to talk about this reduction in battery, considering that lithium, reduction in the battery size.
Okay.
Considering that lithium is a key component for lithium ion batteries, and India does not have ample lithium reserves, is it preferable to simultaneously develop hydrogen at the same time as the battery infrastructure that is currently being developed in India?
These are, according to me, I may not be the right person to reply this because there are two different topics. Hydrogen infrastructure development is one topic which has to be handled by some ministry, like for example, MOPNG or so. One is generation of hydrogen, storage of hydrogen, distribution of hydrogen, and safety of hydrogen, and filling, of course. So this is a quite big exercise. Today, in spite of several years, even CNG is not available throughout the country. So you can just imagine the quantum of work that will be required for hydrogen to get penetrated throughout the country. At least it should be available in the major segments, major sectors, major highways. Only people will convert their vehicles into hydrogen vehicles. As far as battery is concerned, your question is very right. We do not have that raw material. Even rare earth material which is required for magnet in the motor is also not available in our country, and there will be a lot of dependency on countries like China. So we have to look at China as our source, and if there is any problem because of political reasons or any other reasons or commercial reasons, we will be under tremendous pressure. Efforts are going on by some people like ISRO or some other organizations in the country to find out ways and means of some alternate material for lithium ion. I will not be able to give you that example because I'm not much aware of it, but work is going on. When it will see the light of the day is not known to me, but we have to do something in that direction. Otherwise, we will be living ourselves in the clutch of some countries and they will take benefit out of it. Hydrogen infrastructure is one thing and battery infrastructure is another thing, but small batteries for smaller vehicles can be managed. But if you are talking about bigger vehicles to run on electric transportation, electric mobility, it will be a difficult task where battery will come into picture as a solo system. It will be required to get supported by fuel cell.
So technology development has to be in the same, and at the same time, there needs to be a legal framework also that should be developed around the same technology. In this regards, ARAI was instrumental in laying down the automotive industry standards for FCEVs.
Yeah.
Could you tell me what kind of hurdles or resistance, if any, were faced by ARAI during the development of these standards? Because in my opinion, sir, what happens is a technology can continue to develop. But if there is no framework, the policy framework, the legal framework, then the implementation of that technology becomes difficult. But there are a lot of entities which are trying to suppress the development of a particular policy or any framework. Would you care to comment on that, sir?
Very sensitive question. But all in all, this area is an active part in this regulation development.
Correct, sir.
We
Absolutely.
are a part of the stakeholder in the country. In addition to OEMs, in addition to Government of India's various ministries, then other test agencies, those who are
Correct.
involved in certification activity, plus some individual experts, some NGOs, BIS, they're all part of this safety standard committee. We call it AIS committees. And we work as a secretariat to that committee. You will be, it is good thing to note that hydrogen and fuel cell, though it was an evolving subject and it was quite new to India, but considering the future that is known to us, yes, one day or other, there will be a full electrification of the mobility, step by step,
Yes.
maybe 40, 50, 60, we do not know. Because electric vehicle cannot replace completely, immediately, over the night internal combustion engines. So there is a solution of coexistence. But one day or other it is required because of various reasons, CO2 emission control, fuel economy targets, then energy security, import of fuel that is happening. To answer all those, going to electricity. Therefore, OEMs were not having any resistance to do that. What is required by the OEM to give a clear roadmap, to give them a clear timeline. Yes, this is the roadmap, this is the procedure, this is the acceptance criteria, this is the time given for you, then OEMs work and they are very happy to work in that direction. So considering that there will be one day future for whole electric mobility and fuel cell will be a major part to bring promotion to electrification to mobility. Without that, only battery cannot do that because beyond a particular vehicle category size, battery will be failing to bring electrification. OEMs were quite thrilled and they were quite supportive in bringing this hydrogen and fuel cell related standards for type approval and safety and all that. And ultimately AIS 157 standard was brought out. I will not say that there was any hurdle as such. Hurdle was knowledge. Hurdle was exposure because it was not known to most of the people within our country what is how to handle hydrogen, what is fuel cell. Even we had not seen it. So we brought then some experts from here and there. Some people took special knowledge, and that is how that hurdle was overcome. Okay, and there was no prior experience within India to work on it, but everything was done together because of the collective effort of all test agencies, ARI type of institutes. There were some academic institutes also, ministries support, and OEMs. And this is how we brought this AI 157 and was published. And now it is now known that 18% hydrogen mixed with the CNG is available as a auto fuel. It also says that fuel cell can be used using hydrogen as a it's hydrogen-based FCV vehicles for their test procedures, safety standards, and type approval procedure has been framed, and therefore now there is a clarity available to the OEMs in what way they should do the development and what they should be meeting to complete the development and get the type approval. So I will say short, there has been a good support from everyone. Hurdles were basically the knowledge, availability of knowledge, getting the knowledge, then a lot of debates. Because whenever you do something for the new thing, which is still evolving, people will have a different views and opinions about it. Why so image? Why so fast? It is going to take 40 years from now or 35 years from now. Why do we spend that time into this, all this exercise? So these kinds of comments were there initially, but when it was known that when we start today, then only we'll be able to reach somewhere after 5-10 years as a groundwork, firm groundwork, which will be available for the OEMs to do the development. Then
Absolutely. So you can you can see that it does not take 30-40 years. In Pune itself, the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research,
yeah, yesterday only. Yeah.
KPIT, yes, sir, they have successfully tested India's first hydrogen fuel cell car with an indigenously developed fuel cell stack. that globally, especially in Europe, South Korea, Japan, and in the US, especially California, they are making
Yeah,
great progress in the development of FCEVs and focusing
yeah,
especially on hydrogen infrastructure. For
yeah,
example, Europe has come out with its European EU hydrogen roadmap. Germany has come
yeah.
out with its roadmap. UK is coming out with a hydrogen roadmap. Do you think India can become a part of this race, reducing its dominance on fossil fuel and sort of dominating this new industry, which is slowly taking, starting to take shape?
I think you know better than me because you are very well connected to all high officials within within ministries. But ministry has a very clear roadmap within high officials, our ministers and all that, that they want to reduce the import of fuel, fossil fuel,
Right, sir.
import of fossil fuel. This is
Correct.
one of the one point agenda in front of them. And to reduce the import of fossil fuel or eliminate the fossil fuel one day in future, they have clearly gone for two streams. One is developing alternate fuels, where there are some indigenous sources available within the country,
Correct.
so that we can at least do some replacement of the fossil fuel slowly one by one and get benefit of reducing the input cost. And secondly, completely disallow the fossil fuel. That is mobility through electrification.
Electric.
So these are the two things which government is working simultaneously. The clash of interest, so many things are happening, of course. That's why now, to begin with, blend of ethanol in gasoline is being talked, 7%, 10% blend of ethanol. So that much of gasoline, because more than 80% import we have to do to meet our requirement. Even if we are able to replace 8 to 10% out of it, it's a good thing. Slowly, even mixing of ethanol in diesel is also being tried out.
Slowly.
Biodiesel in diesel is also being tried
Biodiesel,
out,
yes.
though the biodiesel yield is not happening. But a lot of efforts are going on. Maybe government is pushing, Niti Aayog is pushing for methanol. Is
Yes.
another economy that is being developed, methanol economy, where methanol can it be a sustainable fuel in country, where their idea is that whether methanol can be made from the coal um, stock, which is abundantly available within our country.
Within our country. Yes, sir.
But one thing
So,
is that when we make methanol out of coal, there will be some carbon emission out of it. So some
yes.
balance has to be seen. So while we are trying to reduce the carbon emission by reducing the fossil fuel of diesel, gasoline, and if it is being completely offset by this production of methanol from the coal, then the whole wealth will emission will not be attractive. But however, our dependency on those fossil fuel will be reduced because now internally we'll be able to make those methanols. But being a
Correct.
fluid, toxic fluid, there are some other disadvantages. But work is going on. AR is also working on M10 fuel, M15 fuel. Then there is a good roadmap for methanol economy. Parallelly, ethanol is also being tried out because a lot of sugar factories are there. Sugar yield is, instead of exporting the sugar, if we can convert that sugar thing into ethanol and use that ethanol as an auto fuel by blending it with diesel and gasoline, or use it as a solo fuel. Every effort is going to reduce the import by small
Import.
mean. जैसे हम बोलते हैं ना, बूंद बूंद से ही मिलता है सब कुछ.
Correct.
So from that aspect, every small thing, though it looks like only 7%, 8%, 10%, 12%, but it is going to that much reduce the import cost, and slowly it will pile up. So these
Absolutely.
are the true efforts. And electrification. So from the point of view of government's support, as on today, we have dynamic ministers sitting, and there are a lot of interest in bringing such thing, and they're working in that direction. Yes, what will be a big hurdle will be infrastructure. If we only announce fuels are available, nothing is going to happen unless there is a production to filling infrastructure is available across.
So infrastructure development, which is sort of my next question, can it be also motivated by announcement of something like a hydrogen roadmap or a hydrogen plan, something which other countries have already announced? For example, Australia has announced it. Europe has announced it, US has announced it. Should India also announce something of a hydrogen plan or a hydrogen roadmap to boost the morale of the industry?
I think, as you said rightly, it is going on in that direction. They call it hydrogen fuel economy for India. It is going on, and in that, a lot of discussions are going on nowadays, and it's taking some shape from generation to filling, that is dispensing, we call it. Generation to dispensing, generation, storage, supply, distribution, and dispensing. So all these things has to be handled, and parallelly technology development. So hydrogen generation to dispensing infrastructure development, where government is planning to build some stations in the country. Already IOCL is taking main shape in that direction, and some of the other organizations within our country which are trying to develop these ecosystems. To name a few, I may not have every information. For example, National Thermal Power Corporation, NTPC.
NTPC.
They are trying to do some work on some hydrogen fuel cell buses, and to run these buses in cities like Delhi, and if I remember rightly, somewhere in the up north in Leh, Ladakh, somewhere.
Leh Ladakh,
like
Delhi to Ladakh.
Leh, Ladakh.
Yes.
Yeah. So they are trying to develop this kind of projects. Also, Indian Oil Corporation, which has been a pioneering organization within our country to do work in hydrogen fuel economy. So they are also trying to do in this direction. They did some work initially with Tata Motors to develop some of their buses in collaboration. And in that collaborative work with Tata Motors, to my information, even ISRO was also involved.
In the Starbus, sir. That happened in 2006. Yes, sir.
Yeah, long back, where they developed this. But it was a beginning. Yes. And today within India, IOCL, according to my information, is the largest hydrogen producer. And they have got 11 refineries, and within that they are trying to do this job. I read one information news that they are going to work on some 300 crore, something like that, something like this. 300 crore demonstration project for hydrogen-based fuel cell vehicle development. And another company which I have noticed is Reliance Industries. And Reliance Industries is also trying to get into this business of fuel cell. And whenever there is fuel cell, means unless hydrogen is produced, fuel cell has no existence. It requires hydrogen. Therefore, whenever we say they are trying to work in fuel cell area, that means they are either in the technology of fuel cell development or production of hydrogen in that. Reliance being a gas company, they are in the hydrogen cell, but they are also trying to build their expertise in fuel cell electrolyzer and fuel cell solutions in addition to hydrogen development. Many such things are happening, but hurdle is
coming back to
how fast they can do it, how fast they can do it, how fast. One good thing with the hydrogen is that it can be carried through transport vehicles also. Not necessary that you should have a pipeline or something like that. Like what we carry, diesel or gasoline.
Yes, sir.
As an immediate solution, it can be carried in some form, liquid form or gas form, and then it can be dispensed at the right station. Initially, this can be done, and then slowly infrastructure can be developed where the pipeline can be made, as being done in case of CNG. Several kilometers of CNG pipeline is being now developed in the country from north, south, east, west, and across diagonal corridors. Maybe same thing will happen, but it all depends upon the willingness of the government and continuity of this program by other governments whenever there will be a change.
Yes, sir. So now coming back to ARAI's expertise, sir, the Hyundai Car Corporation, it has plans. It has certain plans which has come in the news recently, that they have a model, a fuel cell model called Nexo, a Nexo SUV, which they plan to launch in India sometime in maybe 22 or maybe 2023. So what my question is the ARAI ready to test these fuel cell vehicles for the Indian market? And if so, then
I couldn't get you. Can you come again?
Is ARAI ready to test these imported fuel cell vehicles for India's market?
I'll just answer this question in two parts. One is doing the development in fuel cell vehicle, and second, preparedness of testing the fuel cell vehicle.
Yes, sir.
Now, fuel cell vehicle testing preparedness is not complete. It is going on. We are in the process of developing fuel cell testing facility. That is because it requires a fuel cell stack calibration and testing facility, which is being developed at this process, this moment. But as far as electric vehicle is concerned, EV, pure battery electric vehicle, we have complete facility of testing of such vehicles. But for fuel cell, it is not. Technology part, yes, we are working on technology front, both on PEM based and also SFC based. Today, some small test benches are available for fuel cell stack level testing at IOCL. And today, whenever we do any project and there is any such testing is required, we take help of this IOCL facility to begin with. But as a test agency, ARI is already in the process of developing fuel cell testing facility. Maybe another 2 years time, we will be fully equipped. Today, we are not fully.
Right, sir. So,
But partially, we are able to do.
why have no Indian manufacturers made any announcement with regard to anything in the fuel cell electric vehicle, category? Is it because they do not find the technology ready for India, or do they plan to wait for some developments and then is the
I do not have any,
ready for India?
I do not have any name here today, but I know there are some announcements by some people, those who are working, like many people are working on fuel cell technology. I think I do not know whether I should take name, like Ashok Leyland, Tata Motors, Mahindra. They all have announced either they will be making fuel cell bus or fuel cell truck or fuel cell car even. Now you take this Hyundai. Now they are existing in India. So maybe you can consider that is also a part of Indian effort, etc. Tata Motors car, they are also announcing fuel cell cars by Tata Motors. I'm not aware about the Maruti, but Tata Motors, yes. So there are some Indian origin manufacturers, OEMs. They are already working in fuel cell technology with internal competency from some partners or even hiring it from outside. And I think some like KPIT, it's a prototype development, but it's a KPIT with CSIR lab is also an effort in that direction. Probably that prototype, once it is ready and it is demonstrating its performance, one of the OEM will shake hand with them and then they can take it further. So a lot of such things are happening. In ARI also, we are doing such prototype development work on fuel cell for different categories of vehicles. And once it will see a successful demonstration to the OEMs, they will certainly try to take this technology and employ it from commercialization point of view. Making a prototype was one thing, and then converting it into a commercial product is another thing. But that is happening. So therefore, I'm quite convinced now that a lot of Indian manufacturers are also working on fuel cell independently. But the only thing is that sometimes because of our culture, we do not make announcements so easily.
Yes.
From the point of view of confidentiality or keeping the thing
under wraps,
and all that. But some announcements are already there. Even in the last Auto Expo, there were few exhibitors who have shown their fuel cell vehicles.
Yes, sir, they have. They have shown fuel cell vehicles, but
we can take this as that work is going on by people.
True,
because
sir.
As I told you in the beginning, when we were making the standards and all that, initially there was some not hurdle, I will not call that resistance, but opinions were different. Is it the right time to invest into that? Because that time a lot of BS6 pressure was there. The people are already governed by the BS6 leapfrog and all that. In these new topics, they were not interested to spend money, cost, and people and all that. But somehow, when it was realized that today, if we start something, then only we'll get something in hand by 5-6 years from now, and another 4-5 years for commercialization. It is the right time to start. And I think with that intention and with that background, everybody is working.
I would like to. Absolutely, sir. I would like to quote one Mr. Indu Shekhar Chaturvedi. He is the Secretary for Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India. He has said recently said that hydrogen in FCEV holds the potential for transforming our energy systems in the mid to long term. So
Yeah,
he,
this is what
yes,
is the
it is
achievement.
the secretary of MNRE's belief
Yeah.
that hydrogen in FCEV specifically is a very important category to
Yes.
for a long term.
This is what I tell you now, sir. Whenever we talk about the fuel cell, should be hydrogen
Right,
because fuel cell requires hydrogen. Where
right,
from you get hydrogen? There can be a number of ways. You can get it from wind energy. You can get it from electrolysis. You can get it from reforming the fossil fuels or many means. But ultimately, you have to produce hydrogen, and that hydrogen with the air's oxygen as an oxidant produces the electricity, and then that electricity is fed to battery and motor to drive the wheel. So hydrogen is utmost required.
absolutely.
So whenever we say, and because now finally, if we want to make this whole mobility for the society on electrification, coming out of the complete fossil fuel business, that time battery operated electric vehicles are not going to sustain for larger segments. So that time, what is the solution? Is only fuel cell solution known to us.
So, I would like to ask you this: what kind of timelines would you think is feasible? Not something that is possible, but something that is feasible for India's FCEV revolution, sir, in terms of infrastructure and the development, etc. What kind of timeline do you see?
I will not be able to give any comment on infrastructure development because I think it is beyond my knowledge. But as far as technology development is concerned, because these are the two things separately happening.
Correct.
The technology development, I'm the pace with which people are working at OEMs level, academic institutes level, research institutes level, with partners, without partners, or even some other organizations. I'm I have confidence that at least 4 years from now, minimum, there will be some sizable products in different categories will be available for first demonstration.
For first
Not
demand.
as only prototype, but for demonstration, which will show the range acceptable to common men, then safety aspects, then various other aspects of handling, distribution, and all that. There can be a combination of fuel cell running on PEM-based system, SOFC-based system. Then there can be a fuel cell with battery as a hybrid vehicle or only fuel cell vehicle, which is a very small battery. So there can be different combinations possible for different categories of vehicles, depending upon for the large categories of vehicle like large trucks, heavy duty trucks, large goods transportation, there will be a hybrid fuel cell battery operated vehicles. For smaller vehicles, there can be fuel cell even used as a range extender, sir, for some smaller vehicles.
Okay.
If you have heard this word,
Yes, sir.
range extender. Today, battery electric vehicle is suffering from 2, 3 problems. One problem is charging infrastructure. Second problem is the cost, technology, and weight, and many things related to battery and performance, durability, replacement, all those things. And the next problem is because of charging infrastructure, charging time. Though you have charging stations, you may require 2 hours to 4 hours to 5 hours time for charging. Now, some of the commercial applications, people do not have patience to wait for 2 hours or 3 hours for charging. Even for CNG, if you have to be in the queue and get the fuel after 3 hours, you lose that much of revenue generation.
Absolutely, sir.
Isn't it? Similarly, for electric vehicles, if they have to wait for the charging for so many hours in between, then for commercial sector, it's not going to be a welcome solution. In that case, onboard charging or extending the range of the same battery charging time is going to be a welcome solution for which fuel cell can work as a range extender. It may not give directly power to motor directly. It will not run the motor at all. To begin with, fuel cell will be available on board. There will be a fuel tank. There will be a reformer. Fuel tank will take fuel from the fuel tank through the reformer. It will produce hydrogen that will be fed to fuel cell. and it will generate electricity, and that electricity onboard will be charging the battery. That's all.
As a
That
range.
means whenever vehicle is running, it need not go quite often to the charging station, quite often to charging stations and spend time for charging and all that. So maybe range extender requirement for smaller vehicles, particularly which is running within the city area. I'm not talking about two-wheelers and all that. I'm talking about commercially used three-wheelers, commercially used the small commercial vehicle like Dost and a elephant, hathi, which is whatever we call it,
Correct.
where they run for 150 to 200 kilometer, 250 kilometer in a day between highways and malls and this and that. If they spend time for charging, they will not do good business. This kind of fuel cell range extender for battery electric vehicle, I am seeing a good opportunity, and it will create an awareness between the society, between the people about the fuel cell operation.
Fuel cell
And
operation.
initially, those fuel cells need not be pure hydrogen based because there is no hydrogen available today. So there will be a potential for SOFC based fuel cell to work as a range extender for these kind of vehicles, which can use all these fossil fuels like gasoline, methanol, methane, LPG, which is readily available. We have right infrastructure available throughout the country. Fill it, forget it. So long as there is a fuel in the tank, fuel cell will produce electricity. Electricity will be available for charging the battery, and battery will give power to motor, and motor will run the wheels. There is no obstruction, there is no interruption in the movement, and commercial people who are more interested to earn money every 24 hours, they will be very much attracted by this. I see this as one of the potential area, potential direction for fuel cell development. Secondary part.
Yes,
And it should work.
Correct.
And we are also working in such projects, for your information.
So, in the global
I don't
scenario,
know whether you agree to this, but I find this has got a good future.
absolutely, sir. I will agree that anytime any reduction in use of fossil fuel, any way of generating, it's the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan
Yeah,
will be, you know, really helped if the energy is also generated from within the country itself, and the equipment used is also the Indian. That is where the question of green hydrogen comes in.
yes.
So if instead of using fossil fuel, if we are able to use green hydrogen, NTPC has said that it is looking at producing $2 per kg of hydrogen, green hydrogen, within the next 2 to 3 years. If it is capable of producing that, I think a lot of the pressure on the expensive hydrogen and the cost of extracting hydrogen from fossil fuel will be reduced, and we will be able to.
But this is the transition because wait for pure hydrogen to come from these sources to be a green hydrogen, it will take 4, 5, 6 year time. Till
Correct.
then, we manage with this kind of internal intermediate solution. I call it
Correct.
intermediate solution. And this intermediate solution will give way for further thinking. Because this kind of fuel cell can work on green fuel also, it can work on fossil fuel generated hydrogen.
Hydrogen also.
Both. So there will be an overlap, and then one can shift from this to green fuel. But green fuel is going to take time, because what is green fuel? Basically it is electrolysis process.
Absolutely.
Water has to be split into hydrogen and oxygen. Where from to get the current or electricity for that electrolysis?
Yes.
If you get it from wind energy or solar energy, then only it is a green fuel.
Absolutely. Would you see that since India is always, as a country, we are always pitted against the Americas, the Europe, or even China, and China as a country has come out with its hydrogen plan, where its automotive manufacturers, the Great Wall Motors or even SIAC, they have come out with a target of bringing about 10 different FCEV models over the next 3 to 5 years in the market, commercial production of these cars. So India needs to compete with these global automotive companies, and we will have to develop our FCEV technology. Even if we are working on gray hydrogen or green hydrogen, that will come separate. What would you say to that, sir?
First of all, it will be very difficult for India to compete with the countries that you have named because of various reasons.
Correct.
Second, as far as researchers are concerned, they can be OEMs with the partners, research institutes like ARAI or academics and all that. There is a definite work going on in developing the fuel cell technology. And OEMs are only waiting for the infrastructure roadmap, because what they say, if we develop the vehicle,
Yes.
they invest the money, develop the vehicle, everything is done after 3 years from now, for example, and there is no infrastructure available to provide either fuel or hydrogen or anything for which they are depending, then that investment will have no value. The problem is that there is a chicken and egg situation. The government probably thinks,
Absolutely.
yeah, unless we develop technology, they will not. What is the point in investing if there is no fuel cell technology coming up? Fuel cell technology developer will say, give us some confidence that you will provide us hydrogen or any other such thing where we can then, so that we can detail. So what technology development is happening, infrastructure development is happening, and at certain point of time, both are available
At the
joining
same
the
time,
wavelength,
when they are
and then
launched in the market.
it's available to the society. So this kind of understanding, because people are taking this with a pinch of salt because of CNG experience. अभी 15-20 साल हो गए फिर भी सब जगह CNG नहीं मिल रहा है. Your
Correct.
CNG vehicle cannot go across the country. That's why people have hesitation to buy a CNG vehicle. अरे मैंने भी CNG खरीद लिया, वो जयपुर तक जा सकते हो, लेकिन उसके आगे क्या मैं उदयपुर जा पाऊंगा? Because is there? I'm giving you an example. I'm
Absolutely, sir.
not
Absolutely.
whether there is available or not available. So people are hesitant. Those who are sure he is running for his lifetime with this vehicle is going to be in that zone only, he buys that vehicle. Otherwise, common man who has got long run desires, he is in hesitation. Similarly, the infrastructure and technology development both should happen together with confidence given to each other, and which is happening now. At least technology development is happening with that confidence. Infrastructure development, it is on paper, they are being talked, they are being discussed, they are being announcing so many things, but it should work, it should come in reality. तो सर आपका क्वेश्चन आप थोड़ा सा मिनिस्ट्री वालों को थोड़ा पूछिए कि ये रियलिटी कब होगा.
बिल्कुल सर, एब्सोल्युटली. अभी धीरे धीरे जैसे आपको हमने शुरू में भी बताया था,
सारा इन्वेस्टमेंट उसके ऊपर निर्भर रहता है. अभी उन्होंने बहुत करोड़ रुपए खर्च करके सब डेवलपमेंट कर लिया और फिर वो मिला ही नहीं, तो फिर वो उनका बास्केट में पकड़ा खड़ा रहे.
जैसे आपको शुरू में भी बताया सर, वी हैव जस्ट स्टार्टेड एंड trust me sir, we will try and reach every person who is necessary in this in the development of the hydrogen energy ecosystem. Just parting thoughts sir. Thank you.
That's the only confidence. Why I have confidence today? At least this present government, I'm not going by any particular government type, but present government, at least they are investing a lot of money in infrastructure development.
Right.
And they are showing also, results are shown. Highways जोर से काम चालू है. Tunnels, अभी रोहतांग टनल का हो गया काम.
Correct.
People are going from this corner to that corner. बद्रीनाथ केदारनाथ का हाईवे बन रहा है, कोई जोजिला का टनल बन रहा है. So many bridges are being made. So government has got intention and they have got demonstrable actions. Whatever they are saying to convert into infrastructure development. With that confidence level, I see this infrastructure will also be developed in a given time, provided there is no break in this government's structure.
Correct, sir. Correct.
हमारे इंडिया प्रॉब्लम ये है, गवर्नमेंट बदल जाने के बाद भी जो नेशनल इंपॉर्टेंस के जो काम होते हैं उसको रोक देते हैं. जो नहीं होना चाहिए. बिकॉज गवर्नमेंट में चेंज, बट नेशनल इंपॉर्टेंस के जो डिसीजन ले लिए गए हैं उसको मेंटेन रखना चाहिए, because it has got its own value.
Any parting thought? I would really like to thank you, sir, for sparing your time, sir. You have given us your valuable time, and we're deeply obliged and grateful to you. Any parting thoughts on the future that you see in short few words, sir, for the hydrogen energy ecosystem? Maybe fuel or SFOC.
I am personally very, very ambitious, confident, and I have full faith that hydrogen energy, hydrogen fuel economy will be a future for India, and it will happen. Work has already started in that direction. OEMs are working, research institutes are working, academic institutes are working. Even government is giving full support in that direction. Government is bringing new plans, different roadmaps are coming, and with the present scenario, confidence level is much higher. But I can only visualize that unless the infrastructure development and technology development, they dovetail.
Yes, sir.
Within a short period of 4 years or 5 years from now, the result will be a big question. But today, looking at both sides, they are taking care of each other. It is happening, and it is required because otherwise there will be a big darkness in front of us. Internal combustion engines today, yes, they have been there for more than 150 years. They are serving us. We cannot put them off all of a sudden. They have got some merits. It has got its own virtue. They're also under development. I'm saying again that while we are working on mobility transportation using electrification through battery operation and also through fuel cell battery operation, at the same time, a lot of work is going on in removing the drawbacks of the internal combustion engines using fossil fuels. A lot of work is happening in diesel development, a lot of work is happening in ethanol, methanol, even dimethyl ether as a replacement to diesel, DME, what we call it. Then different blends of ethanol and methanol with the liquid fuels, gasoline and diesel for transition replacement. So a lot of efforts are happening in many parts to meet ultimately two or three objectives: emission reduction by virtue of all these things, CO2 reduction by reducing the fuel consumption or reducing the fuel economy, by reducing the fossil fuel consumption. Hybridization is also one of the good part in that, but somehow it is not on the track today because of some taxation issues and all that. Then third thing is efficiency, emissions, and energy security, and reducing the import cost. Everything is put together, which is driving force for all of us to work on these alternate solutions. The different alternate solutions are there in front of us. India being a very complex country in terms of various reasons, we cannot focus on only one and go with that.
Absolutely.
We are focusing on 2, 3, 4 items. The way it will come, we start using it and then go further. For example, today we will be working with ethanol, methanol, and all those things to start with. For some years, we'll make use of the replacement of some portion of the liquid diesel and gasoline replacement and take benefit of reduction in import costs.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for sparing some valuable minutes from your busy time, sir, and speaking to us on hydrogen and fuel cell mobility. We're really very grateful to you, sir, and we hope to speak with you soon enough, sir. Once there are developments in the field from ARAI, and if we